Okay, as mentioned just now, we've got two lovely middle leaders with us, and they are Roshida Abubakar, and she's from SMK Sri Samudera, and we've got Shoba Baby, and she is from SMK Pasir Gudang 3. Right? So now, just to get started, can you all just give a clap as a reaction if you are new to this webinar? And if you have already joined us before, can you just raise your hand so that we just know the kind of demographics that we have now? Is that possible? If you just go down and see the reaction icon, the one with the smiley face and the plus.
Oh, we've got quite a few raised hands, and we've got a lot of raised hands, I can see.
Okay. I see a few. Okay, great. Right. So without further ado, let's just get started so that we can have as much discussions and learn as much as we can from these two lovely middle leaders. Okay. So I am going to do it in the form of an interview. So Shoba, if you're ready, here's our first question for you. How did you prepare your students for online learning during this MCO period?
Hello everyone, I'm Shoba from SMK Pasir Gudang 3. Okay, to answer question, can you all hear me? Can I see the thumbs up? Okay. How did I prepare my students for online learning? Of course, definitely the first thing that we will do is to communicate with the students. The students need to know what they are supposed to do. So in my school, we use a lot of infographics. Okay, as you can see on the screen, on the left was the first phase infographic that we shared with the students to get them to start with their online lessons. Okay, if you look at the infographic, there are informations what they are supposed to do, because without telling them what to do, these students are helpless. This is unprecedented, things that happen in Malaysia, and of course to all of us, the educators here. So we came up with this idea that we should share infographic rather than lengthy sentences with a lot of wordy information, guidance and everything. So this infographic will be a very useful thing to all the students, and of course the okay, now we'll talk about the students. And then on your right is our phase 2 infographic. You can see again we have all the information what the students should do. Okay, and so we use a lot of infographics.
Okay, it is good that all of this information is there. And then what else did you all do?
Okay, other than that, how to restart? We have panel meetings. Okay, here you have the praise loudly and correct softly. Definitely we have rewards for the students. It is virtual rewards. And some teachers, they have promised the students that they will be getting the real rewards, when the school reopens, we don't know when. And when they make mistake, we PM them, we correct them. Okay, we don't do it in the group. We mainly use WhatsApp group because in my this school, our students, they are easily accessible through WhatsApp. They are quite competent with this application. So what we do when they do well, we give them a lot of credits, we give them a lot of rewards, virtual rewards, online. But when they make mistake, we PM them, we tell them what to do. So maybe we can share the screen, how we reward the students. And
yeah, sure. I think that it was really good that you shared this aspect with us, because a lot of people are waiting for the MCO to be over before they actually correct the students' work. So maybe if you can just go through what are the things that you've done. I think it's really important that the students got their timely feedback during this time. Could you just share that?
Yeah. Yes. I agree with you, because when I mark the students' work, then they are very excited. They get the feedback right away. You can see the first picture. This student is still learning how to use the with the online feedback features that is in the WhatsApp. You know, we can always ask them to type and then to tick, to use colors and everything. So I guide them step by step how to do it. So this student is just learning, but today when I had a class with them in the morning, they are also pro at it already, you know, they know what to do. And the second picture is how I use the pen to tick and then to give them comments. This is my computer science class. And the last picture is how the student can scan documents using notes on iPhone if they are using iPhone. And then I also teach my students to use Tiny Scanner. They can always download Tiny Scanner and scan the essays, you know, like for students who are writing essay, they cannot be taking pictures and send to us because it will be difficult for teachers to mark. The picture won't be clear. So we have the outcome of it, and that is the scan picture there. Yeah, that is the scan picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then other than that, yeah. Yes,
I also liked the fact that, you know, this is more the academic aspect, but you've also given a lot of opportunities for them to reach out and actually have discussions with you all. So if we can look at the next slide. Can you just share with us what has been happening here?
Okay, this is the survey that we did after phase 2. Okay, because we want to see the data. We want to see who are the students are with us. They cannot be reached. So we send them the survey and they answered the survey. We roughly got to know like 67% of our students, they are in touch with us through internet. Okay, we also make phone calls via WhatsApp and everything. Okay, and then and like what I say, we communicate with them with WhatsApp.
Okay, and I think that that sometimes the simple phone call for one or two of those people who just need that personal touch is also there, isn't it? Okay, so now I think that's how you all engaged with the students, but we have another group of people who are game changers in this time, which are the parents. So what actions were taken by the school to actually increase the parental engagement during this time?
Okay, first of all, in my school, we create a WhatsApp group for parents. Okay, all the classes, we have WhatsApp group for parents. So it is administered by the class teacher. Okay, so this is not done during this MCO. We have been doing this ever since. You know, we have groups with parents. So it's easier for us to transmit information to them. Okay, so we have advantage. We have advantage because we do not have to ask for phone numbers and everything. We have already created these groups long ago. And for this MCO, my principal, Puan Suhaja Suryati, she has asked all the SLT and HOD to be in the WhatsApp group so that we know that every information is being delivered to the parents, especially the class timetable. And then she has created this memo for the parents. You know, here it's a very simple thing, but then again, infographic, I think the infographic plays a very important part, you know, in making things happen, you know, during this online learning for students. You know, she has very brief information here, like introduction, and then the rationale of doing this, and then the closure. And we have this tagline like, help us to help your children. You know, they have to make sure, they have to make sure that their kids are ready for learning. Teachers are all ready. Teachers are all geared up, you know, to conduct their classes.
I think the two important takeaways that I've got from here is the fact that all of us know we're supposed to have a class WhatsApp group, but I think those who have actually adhered to that and had a complete class list, I think they are the ones who are reaping the benefits at this point. And the other thing is the fact that the monitoring is intertwined because, you know, to have the SLTs and the heads of department in the WhatsApp group also enables everyone to know that those information are given out. What about
another additional information, and another additional information that we update the attendance of the students during the online classes to the parents, so they know whether their kid is active or not. You know,
all
so
right.
that helps us a lot. Yes.
Yeah. So information sharing with all of the stakeholders.
Correct.
And as you mentioned about infographics, I like this one. Can you just explain a little bit about this?
Yeah, you know, like we want the parents to help us, but the parents do not know what to do. You know, we have a lot of ideas in us, you know, like, come on, please get them ready. You know, we are going to be online, you know, at 9 a.m. But then the kids are still sleeping, the kids are still not online, you know, the parents do not know when is the class and everything. So we come up with this idea that we just give them simple instructions, you know, that what they can do. And we tackle on these two parts for the child and parent. Okay, for child, of course, wake up early. That is our suggestion to them, and then breakfast and everything. But for parents, take note of your child's online timetable. They have to know. And for this, we have suggested that all the WhatsApp group should have the timetable as the profile picture. That is one simple thing that we do. So that is as their profile picture. And parents can refer to the profile picture every now and then to know what lesson is supposed to be at what time. And then make sure that your child is ready for online class. And the second one is quite interesting. You know, this idea comes from my principal. Plan a house chores timetable for your child that does not overlap with the online class timetable. So that means we still encourage the kids to help the parents. Okay, which maybe the parents will be happy with the school, you know. Sometimes the parents will grumble why the school is having classes now and then. So we tell them that you can have your child, and we also want them for 1.5 hours or for 1 hour or so. And the last one, help us to help your child.
Yeah, which is the tagline. I like the fact that you know, these messages are very easy to understand and easy to implement as well. But moving on to the teachers, I think this is you know, quite a big task that we are asking teachers to be doing now, which is to pass their teaching capabilities and strategies over to parents and things like that. So how are they being supported to carry on these effective online lessons?
Okay, first of all, teachers they are all very dedicated, but they need to be guided, because at this point of time we are all over Malaysia. You know, we cannot expect teachers to do the same thing under one administration. We need to have a uniform instruction to the teachers that what we are going to do. I'm very happy to say that SMK Pasir Gudang 3 teachers are all very dedicated, and they all, you know, like from the beginning we had that teething problem, but then now we are all together conducting everything on time, and then they are complying to all the needs of the students online learning. And this is the first phase, okay, of the steps that should be taken by the teachers, you know, like we ask the teachers to have penyediaan latihan, you know, latihan oleh guru mata pelajaran, which is very simple. They have to have this. This one is very basic, penyediaan latihan. Okay, we prepare latihan without any guide. That was the first phase. And then perkongsian bahan PDP, we have to share the material. Okay, we share the material, and then we want them to the evidence for the latihan. And then in the first phase, we ask them to cetak. We ask them to print, which is impossible. Okay, and or we ask them to paste in their exercise book or notebook. And then self-assessment or penandaan latihan from the teachers whereby we can do it when the school reopens. And then we had this meeting with SLT and HOD. We always use PDCA, and then whereby we see that a lot of things should be improved. And then we improved, we went to second phase. We did a lot of other things to better our steps for the teachers. Maybe you can go to
which
the
is
second
on the
one,
next slide. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, so this one is more rational steps to be taken by the teachers. So this is again the infographic that the teachers have to follow. Okay, to share the timetable with the class group, and then take note of the timetable, your timetable. You must know when is your class, and then you have to prepare your lesson. And then we have Google form for planning and Google form for report. Why Google form for planning is important is that teachers will plan, and then they will be prepared mentally that like they know that the next day they have class. Because without preparation, teachers tend to forget. We must also give this credit to the teachers, that they are planning the lesson. And we must also think that the teachers are not available all the time. They are with their kids, with their family. If they are with their extended family members at kampong and everything, it will even be worse for the teachers. So this Google form is very simple. We just want them to fill in their name, their class, the time of class, then a title or subtitle of the lesson that they are going to do. That's all. And the medium, what are they going to use? Maybe WhatsApp, Google Meet, or they're using YouTube, Telegram. Very simple. They can complete this within 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. Same goes to the report. Report is also the same. Why we want the report? Because we want to appreciate the teachers, because they have a lot of things to share with us. Okay, so when they report, they will feel rewarded. They have been doing this and everything. And another thing that I would like to share about the Google form, the preparation Google form, we share the analysis every night at 9 p.m. Okay, with the Telegram official group, checking on all the plans have been submitted. Like if you don't submit, that means you will not remember that the next day you have class. So we remind them every night. We remind them. It's not finding fault, but then we are helping them. We are trying to get them to be on track, to carry out these online classes for the our students. And then
Yeah.
Yes,
So I think the next slide shows actually what are the topics that is being covered, and I think that's a really good one that everyone has. So you've got an overview of that, and also something that you mentioned was the fact that it was all of these monitoring aspects are put in place so that there is actually room for praising people. So I think the next slide shows how you use a little bit of praise to motivate the teachers, isn't it? And I think that is really
this is a
Yep. Okay, so I think you have mentioned a lot about the monitoring aspects of it. So the next thing is, if you can just share, how did you actually monitor the progress of how things are? And I think that you all were able to get that feedback very quickly and improve, but also looking at the processes and making sure that you've thought about everything, like the example of parents and actually them having the timetable, in their screen and things like that. Those are really good tips. And so how did you actually go through the process of monitoring and some of the things that you put in place? Could you just share about that, please?
These things comes naturally when we discuss, and then we come up with ideas. We put our shoes in the parents' shoes. What the parents are supposed to know. What time is the class and what are they supposed to do. So we come up with ideas to guide the parents on what we want them to do. And monitoring, again, that is monitoring of the class WhatsApp group. If teachers, like what you are looking on the screen here, these are the things that I told you just now, that we will be sharing this information on our Telegram official group with the teachers. If you look at the extreme right, you have one red mark there. That means that the teacher has not done the planning yet for the next day. Okay, so we will remind them, we will call them, we will PM them, we say, please do your planning. So this is one way that we are doing to engage the teachers and then to guide the teachers, because the teachers need guidance from us, the administrators. Okay, when we look at the next slide. Okay, the next slide will be an example of timetable of an administrator in my school. This is mine. Okay, my name is on the top. Okay, the first one. So those are the classes that I teach, and the below one are the teachers that I observe. I will be in their WhatsApp group. Okay, to guide them, to just be them. By being there, it's a reward for the teachers. They want to be seen. They want us to know what they are doing. And then once in a while, we give them reward. We talk to them. We give them the infographics, the pictures, saying thank you. You are doing well and everything. So this is roughly what we are doing in our school.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I think one thing I wanted to highlight is the fact that you've got all of these lessons. One thing that we didn't highlight from the infographics is the fact that you've kept the structure of the lesson quite simple. There are basically only 2 slots per day, if I'm not mistaken. Could you just explain just a little bit about that for the online lessons?
Okay, this is for phase. Okay, this is for phase 3. Phase 1, we had 3 slots. 3 slots and then 1.5 hours. So that was even we had classes at night, which was not very suitable, And then we improvised in the second slot. We had 2 times, but then 2 hours per slot. And then for phase 3, we did survey with the teachers, and then we took into account what the teachers needs. And they suggested that we should have majority of them suggested that we should have 1.5 hours and 2 slots per day. So we comply to their request. My principal, and she had a meeting with us, and then we said, okay, we should comply to the request of the teachers because they are carrying out the class. And this is our phase 3, and phase 4 will be similar to this, but then we have reduced the time to 1 hour. This is 1.5 hour. 1 hour because we have, this is Ramadan. Okay, so we have only 1 hour, 10 to 11 and 10 to 11 and then 11:30 to 12:30. That's it.
Yeah,
so
and also
we change all the time.
Yeah, and the subjects are different for each day, isn't it? So the fact that the planning, you don't have to do planning for every single day. I think that was one of the questions that I saw on the chat. Do we do planning for a week? I think that can be done because you're not teaching every single day, but you are actually making it very concise. Am I right?
Yes, correct. Some teachers, they have planning for the whole MCO phase. Phase 4, we have 8 lessons, for example. So in their panel, they plan what they are going to do. If let's say for English, they are going to do writing, okay, they plan for directed writing, continuous writing, one information transfer, and then literature and everything. So they can submit the lesson plan at one go. That's not a problem.
Okay, right. So we also looked at the next slide shows about the survey as well as getting the teachers' feedback, and also if the next slide, it also shows about not just the attendance but actually knowing how many of them have got access to the internet, and I think what I would like you to actually elaborate a little bit on is, if you're looking at the top right-hand corner, we've got the one that says, they have internet connection, which is 67, and those without internet connection are about 33. But if you look at the next slide, I think even with the internet connection, you can tell that we've got different types of learners. Could you just explain a little bit about that?
Yes, so we came up with this. Definitely, when we give them this survey, those with internet cannot, those who are with the internet will respond to this survey. So those 33% who did not respond to the survey, but among the students who can access to internet, we have 4 categories. One, they have smartphone and they can access to internet all time. Okay. Number 2, they share with their siblings. And number 3, they have smartphone, but then their internet access is limited. And the last category will be they use their parents' handphone because, whenever the parents are at home, then they can use whatever work has been given by the teachers to be done at night, after the working hours. So we have 4 categories here. And then when you go back to the previous slide, Anne, please.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. When you look at the attendance, I would like you to look at the bottom graph. The bottom graph, you know, you look at the trend. Okay, look at the first one first. Look at the trend. How many of them they have internet? This one is slot 1 and slot 2. The yellow one is slot 1. The purple is slot 2. You can see in the morning they are very difficult for them to come to classes.
Okay.
You know, okay. So afternoon, you know, after lunch, okay, the attendance it's better.
Yeah.
So that is the trend. Okay.
Right.
Okay. When you look at the other graph on the bottom one, okay, this one, those with internet, the purple one is those with internet and they can access internet, and the yellow one is those who attend our classes.
Right. Okay.
So look at the last 4 classes, you know, the last 4 or 5 classes. Those are the groups that we have to focus on post MCO. We want them 100%. We have to do something with them. And we have the data, we have the names of the students, and they will be grouped in a separate, in a special group for that, for the teachers to guide them, you know. I'm focusing on SPM groups here. SPM classes, so we will be focusing on Sejarah and BM for these students. They really need help from us because they have internet, the enrollment is such, and then very few students are attending our online classes. So these data are very important for us to plan our post-MCO lessons in school.
Okay, I think, you know, the fact that you use all of this data is, you know, in not just getting the relevant data, but also making sure that there is some analysis and to check on trends and then to inform the next steps are really great takeaways that we can have from this session. So now, just to get the participants who have listened to a lot of this, to give your opinion on what are the types of data that you think we should be collecting to ensure that we can gauge the effectiveness of online learning or even the readiness of our stakeholders for this remote learning. Can you just share your opinion for the next chat while we get ready for the next ML to share her learnings? We just have a look at what you think that we need to have other than the ones that Shoba has shared. Is there anything else that you think that we need to take note of? Okay, so while that comes in, what we're going to do is we're now going to move on to Cikgu Roshida, and she was talking, she's going to tell us about what she had implemented on the flipped classroom learning. Okay, so over to you. Our first question to you is, how did you use the flipped classroom? Which class did you use to engage these students in self-learning? If I'm not mistaken, you had started this even before the MCO.
Yeah. Hello, can everyone hear me? And can you hear me?
Yes, yes, definitely, clearly.
Okay. Okay, so this is a very humble project that I did since last February. It's a pilot project that I did because I feel like I wanted to try something new. So it is an integration of blended learning and also flipped classroom strategy that I tried with one of my Form 4 class, which is 4SI1. This is an art and humanities class. So what the student did was actually to use their own gadgets to support their English learning in school. So basically throughout the week, I choose 2 periods of English to do this classroom, which is on Friday, 7:40 to 8:40, and the class will shift from their classroom or from SBC to the school library because in my school the internet access is limited, so the students had to move to the school library so that, you know, some of them, they don't have their own internet data, so they were reluctant to use their own data. So no problem, I said that the Wi-Fi is provided by the school, so that's why they had to shift to the school library. Okay.
Could you explain a little bit about how you got started with this? Because what we find about this practice that you're doing will be really good post MCO as well, because once students have already had children using technology, I'm sure they'd want to be able to do that continuously. So how did you get started? As you can see in the next slide on...
All right. Okay. Actually, to be honest, there was my first class that I had with the students. So I asked them, what is your ambition? So most of the students shared with me that they wanted to become content creators. So I was like, what is that? So, you know, I was like, it's something new to me. So I think that, you know, those kind of very cliche ambition, like I want to be a fireman, I want to be a doctor, it was so outdated. So, you know, since there was many new things that come up throughout this education line, so I think my teaching practices has to start. So that is the reason why I came up with this idea. So, you know, to make it legit, so I start with a paperwork. So I wrote everything on that paperwork. So how does it go about, and what are the rules that the students had to be abide on? And then I believe that it has to be done with the cooperation from parents. So that's why after the paperwork has been endorsed by the principal, I wrote a letter to parents informing them what is this program is all about, and also briefing to the students. And after the briefing, we had a contract signing, and in that contract signing, actually, the students have to actually, it's stated clearly in that contract that what they can do and what they cannot do, all right? And, you know, after that contract signing, I had a chance to give a parental briefing to the parents during a ceremony called Majlis Aku Janji. So during that time, I had a Q&A session with the parents and you know, with their children inside that briefing session. So it's a very good chance and session for me, because I had, you know, I had feedback from parents saying that they have problems, and I have, you know what are the things that I can improve in order to make this program better. So during the program, maybe you can, you know, try this. This is something that some of my friends say that is serious, but I think it's a safe thing for me to do. I just want to play safe here. So early in the morning at 7 o'clock, I would be standing at the school gate waiting for my students, and then with a lock bag. So they will place their phone inside that lock bag, and definitely I will tick the attendance of the students who came and who did not. So it is stated in the contract that they have to hand in the phone with me before 7:50 a.m. So after 7:50 a.m., if the phone is not in the lock bag, it is their responsibility. So I had that bag sent to the principal room to be kept there. So during the class, I would go and take that bag and distribute the phones to the students. It is labeled. The phones are labeled. I had to set them the stickers for their phone, and I use it in the classroom. And after that, I keep it back in the lock bag and keep it in the principal room. And after that, at 12 o'clock, because it's Friday, so the students would come and see me to collect their old phone. And after 12 o'clock, it is their responsibility, and they are informed that if it's lost or if something bad happens to their phone after 12 o'clock, it is not my responsibility. That is how I stay safe.
Yeah, so those are real clear guidance, you know, and I like the fact that you know, you're there to greet them and get all their gadgets in, because that's one of the worries that teachers actually have.
Yes.
We are just going to show the next slide. I think it is self-explanatory, which is the apps that you used. If you could just have a look at the next slide. Okay, so the apps that you've used to actually get them to engage the ones that we are kind of familiar with. If you can just talk us through the planning. If you look at the next slide, which is on the pre-lesson, and then the during, and then just the post-lesson. If you could just explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Actually, instead of using WhatsApp, I rather use Telegram, because actually when I explore Telegram, there are many features that is there. There are a grammar lesson, there are grammar exercises when you know the specific bot in the Telegram. So I say to my students that you have to install the Telegram, and I will actually teach you how to use the bots in the Telegram to help you with your learning. So we had this, yeah, we had this Telegram group, and actually I've been starting using Telegram since 2017 with my previous students. So before the lesson started, before Friday, usually on Tuesday or Wednesday, I would introduce the topic that the students are going to discuss on that lesson on this Friday, and I would ask them to do some research. And for certain students who are, you know, they have reported, actually I've kept data on students who have problems with their internet connection at home. So these students actually, what I did was to call them after school and had them given the printed notes so that they could actually do some readings about the topic that I'm going to cover. And then, of course, providing them with the vocabulary, because one of my problems with the students is they have very limited vocabulary. So by using Telegram to actually introduce vocabulary is, I would say that it is very good actually. It works for my students.
That's great.
Because,
How about once you set that going? What about during the lesson? You said that you watch a video, they do some brainstorming. So basically, you incorporated a lot of the strategies that is needed even for a face-to-face session. In this aspect as well.
All right. Actually, this is the most interesting part, because it is not just I'm using one app. It is going to incorporate a lot of apps actually during the class session itself, because usually our class will start with a starter. So I had session starter using Padlet, I had YouTube, and even the Telegram itself to actually gain some feedback from the students. So YouTube is one of the great things, because some of the things that we discuss in class are very, new to the students. So by letting them watching video on YouTube, it's something that can actually open their trigger their thinking. So next is by using Padlet to actually do brainstorming. So when we do writing, we had a lot of brainstorming, and previously before this project team thing, usually my students would do this kind of brainstorming on mahjong paper, on papers. So by using Padlet, it is something that is fast, and the presentation is there. Everybody can read the slide, and that's the reason why my students love it, Padlet, because they do not have to be holding up papers. And the best thing about Padlet is you can store the students' work in PDF, and at the end of the day, the PDF form of Padlet is sent through the Telegram. And usually they do individual writing on Padlet, and sometimes I do it on physical books because it is just I don't want them to lose their touch with writing. So that's the reason why I love Padlet so much, because I can store that, and at the same time I can give feedback, because the next phase is a feedback session.
Okay, so if we look at the post lesson, once again, we're talking about feedback that is timely. I think that's really important, and we can see how you've done that. But if you could, and we were just looking at the, I am aware of the time. Okay, so if you look at the next one, you've also, the next slide also shows what you're currently working on, and also what are the next projects. So if we can just take some time, I think all of these are really great ideas, not just for now, but also for post MCO. Can I just ask what your reasoning is for using this approach? Why did you choose this blended learning slash flipped classroom? Would be my
Okay.
next. We can just
Yeah.
go to that
Okay.
slide.
Because I think the reason why is these students are actually digital immigrants. They are born with technology, and they grew up with technology, and since it is new, it is no longer new for them. Actually, it's new for me. And it is sort of started when my students told me that that, as I said previously, they wanted to be content creators, and it's very new to me. So I think my students provided me with new things, and I had to provide them with new things. So by trying to help them to develop the skills that could be used in the future, that would be really important. Examination is important, but at the same time is the authentic experience that they are going to have in school that will help them in the future. That is more important, I think. And then I believe that everybody has their own gadgets, but maybe they do not know how to use the gadgets appropriately to help them with their education. So I think by doing this flipped classroom plus blended classroom, blended learning practice, it is going to help the students see how can they benefit from technology and also the gadgets to help them to improve academically, not just to play games and entertainment based only. That's the reason why I choose this approach.
Yeah, very good reasons for using this. And I think with the next question is, these are things, the way you have actually engaged your students remotely during this time. So we're just going to have a look at those. I think they are kind of self-explanatory. The next slide. Which is, what most of the teachers are using, which is the Google Classroom, the Padlet, the Google Forms, Hangouts, and things like that. And also the next slide shows that you have an example of what you are working on, and actually getting them to upload their assignments and things like that.
Yes,
am I right?
The best thing and about using teaching them about technology is they are used to it, so it will be no problem for them to use. Previously, when I exposed them on Google Classroom and Google Form and Google Meet before the MCO, they were like crawling to actually use this. But however, after the MCO, they were experts now, and I use all mediums to actually keep in touch with the students. So and the best thing is, I don't have to teach them anything because they are used to it. So as compared to the students who are not exposed to this online learning, I still had to, as what Shoba said, I had to explain to them how to use this, how to submit their assignment and stuff like that. So I believe that when they are exposed to this, they are used to it, and it's no longer a problem for them in the future.
That's really great learnings that we have got. So just moving on, I think let's look at our next steps, which will be about getting to know these learners that we have. But just in case, just to recap, on those people that you haven't had contact with, I think the best people that you could reach out to is probably the PIBGs to make contact with these families, and also to go back to basics, because I think we need to remember that we are humans first. So what are their basic needs? Do they need food and things like that? I think, Chik Roshida, I'm sure you'll agree with this. Empathizing with them and then finding out what support would really engage those who are not able to get on this online platform, right? And also, I think if you want to think creatively, I think we should give this opportunity for students to actually collaborate and think of how they are going to be helping those students who are not on these online learning platforms. Yeah. Okay.
And I just want to add something. I think it's very important for the teachers to track the records on what they have done, and those students who are participating and not. because with that, you know, you can plan on what you can do post MCO. And this is what I've been doing. I've been keeping records on students and all the planning that I have that I have in mind and I have done. I had jotted everything down, and you know, and I had these modules that the activities that I did with my students online, I had also an offline module for them.
Oh, that's really wonderful. So thank you so much, Cikgu Roshida, for sharing that.
Welcome.
So that kind of leads us very well into our next bit, which is actually knowing our learners. And the reason why I've written here that it is knowing our learners, not learning our knowing our students, is because our learners have actually expanded not just to our students, but also to teachers who are learning how to use you know, this new way of remote learning, and also the parents who are in there as well. So, you know, we have heard of different types of learning styles, which is can be a K, but I've just doing research and I found there is an R there, which is about, you know, those who like to write. We also know about, you know, the different forms of multiple intelligence and all that, but we have got many different types of learners. So if we look at the next slide, what we will find is that the kind of learners, keeping in mind there are students, teachers, and parents. These are the possible learners that we will have. One is those who are tech savvy, those who can learn independently. That's group A. Group B are those who are a little bit apprehensive, but with guidance, they will be able to do both of that. And then we've got group C, the ones that will not want to change or do not have the capabilities to change it, so they are a bit more traditional. And then the last one is those who are going to be disengaged from whatever it is, whether they've got access to that to the technology or they do not have access to it. And I think this is what the demographics will be once MCO is lifted, and I think at any given time. So now we're just going to have our breakout session. I would like you all, when you're going into your breakout session, just to think about this. If your breakout room is an odd number, a 1, a 3, a 5, please discuss what will you do to enhance the learning experience of the students in group A and B, those who are able to learn independently and access their technology for that purpose. And for those of you who are going to the even numbers, could you discuss on what we are going to do to enhance the learning experience of those who are not able to actually learn independently? So we're going to give you about 5 minutes, and then when you come back, we'll put it on the chat group, and then we will summarize what we have learned from all of this session. Okay, so if you're ready, we are going to go into our breakout sessions very soon.
Before I launch the breakout rooms, I'm going to put you in groups of 7, which are quite big, but I think there's 49 people in the room, so we'll get some good suggestions. These are the recap of the types of learners. I will broadcast those, and as Anne said, if you are in group 1, 3, or 5, then you're looking at students group A and B. And if you're in 2, 4, 6, you're going to be looking at groups C and B. So those are your types of learners. I'm just going to leave those up a couple of minutes. When I open the breakout rooms, you just have to press join room. And if there are any problems at all, we'll all be waiting in the lobby to answer any questions, and you can ask for help. Okay, so I'm going to open the rooms now. There we go. So you can press join room and off you can go. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had good conversations. We're very aware that we are running out of time, so we'll not be offended if you have to leave. We will be sending a feedback form later, so please do make sure you fill that in so that we can make sure that all the hard work that's been put into this pays off. But yes, if you do need to leave, what we are going to hang on a few more minutes to answer some of the questions and just to wrap up a few ideas. So Anne, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. If you have any ideas beyond what has been shared over here, please make sure that you put this in your chat so that we will collate all of this information, and when we send out these decks to you, as well as we will give you all of this information in the email. Yeah. Okay, so what we have learned so far from both what Shoba has shared as well as what Roshida has shared, I think we can definitely implement post MCO whenever that would be. So the first and most important thing would be to actually keep our students motivated. And this can be done by allowing the students to actually share their experiences with others. And this is where we are talking about the social, emotional development of the students, meaning their ability to share what they are feeling and experiencing during this time, individually. Hooray! There's some happy people here. So children being able to share their experiences with others and learning from each other what their experiences are. I think that needs to be in the forefront to help everyone cope during this trying times. The next one is to make sure that those students who have studied throughout this time, whether it is self-learning or even those students whom we haven't had any chance to actually connect with them, we need to find out what they have been able to learn and understand and apply after this. And I'm pretty sure that probably those in the group D, the ones who seemed disengaged, would have quite a lot of life lessons that they have learned that they can actually share. And of course, to incorporate choice, challenge and purpose to all our lessons, so that children will feel more like they have got the ownership to their learning, and to create opportunities for immediate and constructive feedback, as seen by what Puan Shoba as well as Roshida have done. The next one would be, the next slide would show what we need to do for the whole group of people. Haley, if you don't mind, can you just show the next slide, please?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Let me just show you an example of how we can engage with the students. If they are in the group A and B, we can use the flipped classroom approach, the Genius Hour, where students are given opportunities to actually research on whatever topics they want to do. And if they are group C and D, to create more opportunities so that they can catch up on anything that is technology-led learning. So giving them more opportunities to use the internet, to use the computers, to use the different apps to actually learn, and to make sure that they have enough personalized learning resources to do that. And of course, if in any scenarios, if you get a mixed group in your classroom, then you can probably use something like peer mentoring for just learning how to use the technology, or even creating materials for self-learning. And of course, project-based learning would be really good to incorporate. So an example would be if you were going to teach them sejarah, and it was about ancient civilization. This is a very good time to ask the question, which civilization do you think is going to actually go through this pandemic well enough? And you can incorporate some language in there for them to do posters, to write letters, and also to do some maths with graphs on finding out what the pandemic looks like, or even science, where you're actually researching on what virus does. So those are some of the things that we can do. And of course, when we have got the platform of working with parents, I think we should definitely engage them more collaboratively moving forward. And I think you can include them in making choices, in making them your mini teachers, to prolong that learning experience for the students. And of course, the most important thing, to use the relevant data so that you can determine what the whole school targets may be, and to also create a whole school support, like the one that was shared by Shoba, where panels are coming together to actually plan for everyone. And I think that would really help when we are talking about preparing differentiated teaching and learning resources. And of course, please consider collaborative learning, which is one of the things that, one of the questions that was asked is, how do you help those teachers who have actually gone to the kampung and they're not able to access this, you know, and this is where collaborative teaching and learning and supporting each other would come in, I think. So here are just a few thoughts that we have. And of course, as always, be gentle with yourself. We are all trying our best. Be patient, be tenacious in finding the solutions. And I think that the most important thing is that the life lessons that each and every one of us are learning during this time is far more important than what the curriculum needs to be covered at this point in time. So with that, I'd like to thank each and every one of you all for being a part of this session. If you, like Haley said, if you need to go, please do. But we're just going to hold off for a few minutes just for some question and answer. So we have got one question for Puan Shoba, which is the infographics. Everyone would like to know what did you use, you know, what platform did you use to create your infographics? Could you answer that question, Puan Shoba?
Okay, I use online template and then I edit according to the need of my school. And I also edit with Paint and Photoshop.
Okay, right. Here's a question for Cikgu Roshida, which is when you use Padlet, the work that is being submitted to you, do you want it to be individual or group, or how does that work?
Okay, usually during brainstorming, we do it in group, but when it comes to individual work, I will ask the students to write individually.
Okay.
By the way, can I add something regarding the question to Puan Shoba?
Okay, sure.
Maybe teachers can actually search for Canva, C-A-N-V-A, to actually search for an app for you to do all these infographics. And also the PowerPoint slide is also there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. If there are any other questions, you can ask. But as we are talking about this, we find that there are lots of good learnings that we have got out of this session. And we hope that we can actually repeat this session for others. I think a lot of people will benefit from this. And so we'd like to thank both Cikgu Shoba as well as Cikgu Roshida for sharing, and we hope that you will be able to share, you know, probably a little with a bit more time, so that it's a bit more relaxed and you can answer a lot more questions than actually having both of you squeezing through. So thank you so much for your patience, and thank you each and every one of you all for actually joining in. Hope to see you all again. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Please feel free to leave the meeting room as and when. If our two, of Roshida and Shoba, if you could hang on a couple of minutes, don't go anywhere. But if the participants would like to leave the meeting room, that would be great. Thank you very, very, very much, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shoba and Roshida.
Yeah.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.